absolute honor to be here. A little terrifying, but an honor. And yeah, my name is Samantha Sylvers. I am a professional storyboard artist in the animation industry, and I'm very excited to be speaking with you all today. We're going to be covering kind of a lot tonight. I'm going to let you know a little bit about myself, my educational journey from Pioneer to the animation industry. I'm going to briefly talk about what animation even is and how it developed into the art form that we all know and love today. Then I'm going to talk to you about what storyboarding is, what I do as a storyboard artist, and I'm going to walk you all through an example of the animation pipeline for an animated television show. I'm also going to talk about producing a personal short film, as was mentioned, The Tree, and we're going to watch it. So let's jump in. About me. I was born and raised here in Santa Rosa, as you know, and I went to Pioneer High School. I always loved drawing and making art as a kid, but I actually didn't know that I could have a career in art until my junior year of Pioneer, and I was finally taking my art credit class, and I just happened to be in ceramics, and Mr. Bissett happened to be my teacher, and I really loved doing ceramics. I immediately just like globbed onto it and really enjoyed that class a lot, and I was very fortunate to have such an incredible art teacher who noticed that and said, hey, you know, what are you thinking about doing after high school? Have you ever considered that you could do art in college? And I was like, no, what do you mean art after high school? It was always a part of my life, it's just not something that I realized that there were careers in. So, shout out to Mr. Bissett for setting me down this path to where I literally am today. So yes, senior year, I decided that I want to study art in college. But even then, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in the arts. I was all over the place in my interests in the arts. So after graduation, I enrolled in the Academy of Arts, University of San Francisco. And naturally, as a huge fan of the show Alumni, I decided to major in fashion design. I quickly learned that I hate sewing. And so I changed my major to something else that I loved, animation. I have a ton of favorite animated films from when I was growing up, but two of the most inspirational for me are Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach. So I changed majors and spent a year and a half learning stop motion animation, which was awesome. I really fell in love with the process of making something move, which is a very magical thing. And then I dropped out of school, partly because it was very expensive and I couldn't really afford to go, and also partly because I decided that I wanted to try to get into CalArts to finish my animation degree at CalArts, their character animation program. It's a school that was started by Walt Disney to train artists to work in animation, so I decided that's where I needed to go. CalArts. But it took me a really long time to get there. I moved to Los Angeles with the goal of getting a job and working towards getting into the school. And I ended up working in still photography production for a number of years and got incredibly busy with that new career. So throughout that period of time, I was rejected from CalArts twice. It's an incredibly competitive program. They accept about 40 students per year to the character animation program. And on my third attempt, I was accepted. Hooray. So I enrolled at CalArts, where I got to really learn the ins and outs of animation production by making my own film. We're going to talk more about that later. And then after 2 years at CalArts, I dropped out. Partly because, once again, it's incredibly expensive. I couldn't really afford to go all 4 years. But mostly I dropped out because fortunately I got a job offer. And I started working at an independent animation studio called 6 Point Harness as a storyboard artist. I was primarily working on an animated Netflix docuseries called How to Become a Tyrant. I left 6 Point Harness after about 9 months. I went over to Warner Brothers, where I started as a storyboard revisionist and then was promoted to storyboard artist on their preschool series, Bugs Bunny Builders. One of the unfortunate aspects of the current animation industry landscape is that pretty much gone are the days of people having a lifelong career at one studio. Your job is really tied to a certain production that you're on, and with the way that things have been going lately, a lot of shows get 1 or 2 seasons. Lucky if they get more than that. So once the season ends, if they aren't renewing more episodes, then you're out for your next job. So I was at Warner Brothers for 2 years, and then the season ended, and I was back out looking for work. I worked as a freelance storyboard artist on a couple of things. Primarily, I was working for a French animation company on a YouTube series called Mini Smiley. It's like a preschool, not as bad as Cocomelon, very lots of music. It's cute. It was very fun. So I worked freelance for them for a while. I also worked as a freelance storyboard artist on a feature-length animated documentary about a family of Ukrainian refugees, which I hope gets released and made someday. I don't know if that ever will. Independent film is hard to make, so hopefully they make it. And then this past summer, I worked at Shadow Machine on the upcoming Netflix show Long Story Short. It's, I believe, going to be out this fall, but it doesn't have a release date yet. But it's the creator of BoJack Horseman's second show. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be good. Look out for it. And then now currently, I'm a bit outside of my regular wheelhouse. I'm working as my title is animation designer. So I am a storyboard artist and a designer and an animator and everything for this really small team at this company called Complexity. And I'm working on their series. It's going to be on YouTube. It's called Crash Course in Native American History. So that has been definitely a fun change of pace and a fun challenge, and definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone, which has been exciting. And as you can see from all of this, something I've really loved about my career so far in animation is just how broad of a medium it is. I've worked on some of the most serious documentaries. I've worked on adult comedy shows. I've worked on preschool shows. I'm back doing kind of comedy documentary stuff. The breadth of what you can do in animation is really limitless. So it's been very fun to have such a wide variety of work in my career so far. But what is animation? I'm so glad you guys asked. Animation is drawing in time, but more than just a sequence of pictures of drawing. It's the art of creating the illusion of life through moving an object or characters with purpose. I'm sure here everyone can imagine your favorite animated film or TV show or scene right now. The best animation has the power to thrill us. It has the power to scare us. It has the power to make us laugh. And it has the power to make us cry. Yay, animation. But how did we get here? Let's look at an extremely brief, extremely incomplete history of animation. So humans have always been interested in making pictures move. The idea of animation is eons older than movies and television. Over 35,000 years ago, humans were painting animals on cave walls, sometimes drawing additional sets of legs in an attempt to show motion. In 1600 BC, the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II built a temple to the goddess Isis, which had over 100 columns. Each column had a painted figure of the goddess in progressively changed positions. So as chariots passed, it would appear that she was moving to the riders on the chariots. And in the 1600s, the magic lantern was invented, which was an invention that's considered the first attempt to project drawings on walls. And they used to have little glass plates and move them around to create, moving shadow pictures on the walls. In 1824, Peter Marc Roget discovered or rediscovered a principle that's vital to the continued development of film and animation, which is the persistence of vision. So essentially, the brain retains the impression of an image for a brief period after the source of light is removed, allowing for a series of still images presented quickly to appear as a continuous moving image. Because of the persistence of vision, it's because of the persistence of vision that the rapid display of still images in movies and animation create the illusion of movement. This principle of the persistence of vision quickly gave birth to a number of various optical contraptions, like the thaumatrope and the zoetrope and the flipbook, etc. I feel like everybody knows that disc and has played with it before, where on one side it's just the image of a cage, and the other side is just the image of a bird, and when you twirl it and the disc rotates, it looks like it's one complete image. So that is thanks to this principle of the persistence of vision. Then we're jumping forward to 1906. Cartoonist James Stewart Blackton and Thomas Edison, yes, that Thomas Edison, released humorous phases of funny faces after Edison photographed a series of 3,000 drawings done by Blackton. It's the first combination of drawings and photography. And then in 1914, Winsor McCay performed live on stage alongside a projected animation of Gertie the dinosaur. He interacted with the animated dinosaur, inviting her to eat an apple out of his hand, and audiences were astonished when the dinosaur craned her neck down to eat the apple, and to dance and to cry throughout the performance. It was a groundbreaking moment, noted as the first time an animated character had a personality. So it's the beginning of cartoon individuality. The audience could empathize with Gertie, and it was a huge sensation, understandably so. Then in 1919, we get our first animated star, Felix the Cat, who became as popular as Charlie Chaplin in the 1920s. And then in 1923, everybody's boy, Mickey Mouse, makes his debut with being the first cartoon with synchronized sound. Disney is going to make another big leap forward in 1932 with Flowers and Trees, which is the first full-color cartoon. And then, in 1937, Disney released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first feature-length animated film, which became the foundation for Disney's output and ushered in the golden age of animation. After World War II and the popularization of the television, United Productions of America, UPA, pioneered a new animation style characterized by more simplified graphics, moving away from Disney's more realistic style of animation by utilizing limited animation techniques. And then, of course, animation was revolutionized again by Pixar, pioneers of computer animation in the 80s and 90s. And who knows where we're headed to next? The sky is the limit. Or to infinity and beyond. Okay. And what's a storyboard? Great question. So a storyboard storyboards were developed by Disney in the 1930s. And by 1938, all animation studios in the US have implemented the use of storyboards. Why, you might ask? As a cost-saving tool. Animation is incredibly time-consuming and labor-intensive. Snow White was comprised of over 250,000 individual drawings, and that was for the final film. I think it was something like 2 million individual drawings between 750 artists for everything leading up to what was in the final film. So as you can see, it is important to plan ahead when it comes to making animation. It's incredibly labor intensive. So a storyboard artist takes a script or an outline, chooses shots and compositions, and translates the words of the script into pictures. It's necessary as a storyboard artist to draw so many drawings. Dozens of drawings in a day. I was sometimes up to 100 or more than 100 drawings in a day. So it's important that a storyboard artist draws loose, fast, and clear. Those are the pillars of what it means to draw as a storyboard artist. All while trying to draw a believable perspective, make the best decisions in support of the story, and draw a model. What could possibly go wrong? So, let's take a look at how the sausage is made. Let's look at how a piece of animation is produced in television animation. So the first thing that happens is, as a storyboard artist, I get a script. By this point in the production process, obviously a script has been written by writers. It's gone through a number of rounds of revisions, and by the time it reaches me, it's been approved and is ready for animation, for me to start as a storyboard artist. So we have a call. We have a kickoff call. I'm on there with my director, with the showrunner, and we read through the script. So we're just going to look at the first couple of pages of this script from Sylvers. We'll take a look at the cold open. You can see that I've made notes in the margins. I've written down notes. So at this stage, as we're on the call, I'm just making any notes that they're telling me on the call, things to pay attention to, things that you might be worried about, any problems that need to be solved that they know about up front. And I take my little script and I go, okay, now it's time to think really hard about how is this supposed to look? What's going to be the best way to show this story? And I think, and then I do my thumbnails. And thumbnails are the first, second step, I guess, in my process as a storyboard artist. I do these on paper. All of storyboarding now is done digitally. I have a big drawing tablet called a Samantha, and we draw in storyboarding software. But this first step I do on paper because it's just going to be the fastest. And look at how ugly these drawings are. That's how they're supposed to look. And this is like a scanned, 8 by 10 piece of paper. You can see how small those little drawings are on each page. Nobody's supposed to see these unless I scan them and put them into a presentation and show them blown up very large on the wall. But the idea here is that this is the fastest way that I can figure out, okay, what is the shot order? How are things supposed to look? How are they flowing together? Up here, I started okay, so it's Porky and he has a stack of tires, and that's the setup. He's in the garage with a stack of tires. But this is kind of boring. So maybe it would be more interesting if the camera's angled up higher and we're looking down and he's approaching, and then he wipes the camera with the tire. Maybe that will be a little bit more interesting, but also still doable. Because the other thing you have to think about as a storyboard artist is this feasible for our production? Bugs Bunny Builders is a preschool show, so the budgets are not the same as, you know, a Pixar feature-length film. There's budgetary constraints, there's animation constraints, it's also preschool, so, you know, the audience that you're hoping is watching this are toddlers, and the camera, you know, there's considerations about like, oh, the camera can't cut too much because otherwise the child can't see what's happening on the screen. All of these things to think about when you are storyboarding. So this is the first big heavy lifting moment. And then I go into our storyboarding software, Storyboard Pro, and I start doing rough storyboards. As you can see, these boards are more fleshed out. There's some ground planes and there's some settings, but you know, Porky, he's kind of just like a little square with like a smiley face. You can tell it's him because that's kind of the shape of his head, but I'm not getting bogged down with details or anything at this stage. It's still very important that I'm drawing fast. This is just an excerpt of the cold open, which is 2 minutes long. And this had over 170 drawings in it alone. And I have to do the entire 11-minute episode in addition to all of this, all by myself in a couple of weeks. So it's important to draw fast. Then, once I've roughed out the entire board, we go on to the pitch. So this is actually what the Storyboard Pro interface looks like. So this is what I see when I'm pitching in a meeting. So the pitch meeting is the entire story team. It's all of the directors, my director, the showrunner, and the executives, the big bosses. And I get in there, and then I have to go through and click through the board and essentially try to sell the story to the executives, trying to do all of the voices and reading all the lines and adding in some sound effects to try to punch up and sell these jokes. And it's scary. It's really nerve-wracking, but it's fun as well. And then, yeah, the executives give us any notes that they may have once the pitch is over. And then I head back off to my little lonesome office to clean up the boards and make changes based on the notes that they had. So this is an example of the transition between rough boards to clean boards. Particularly with animation for television, it's very important that the characters be on model, what's called on model. So in the rough board, you know, the purpose is that the characters should hopefully look enough like themselves so that people aren't confused when you're pitching. But when you turn in your rough boards, or your clean boards, this is what's going to end up being shipped over to the animation studios. And usually they're overseas now for television animation. And so it's very important that characters be on model, so that the animation, when it comes back from the studios, hopefully looks like you intended. Then you turn in your clean boards and it gets sent off to the editor. Yay, editor! And the editor puts it together in an animatic, which is a cut of the episode using the storyboard images. They time out the boards, they add scratch audio and sound effects, and once the animatic is ready, it gets sent off to, let's pretend this says 6.5, it gets sent off to the executives again for review. And they give their notes, if they have any notes, which they're executives, so they're going to have notes. And once their notes come in, then it gets passed off to a storyboard revisionist, which is what I started at Warner Brothers. So you can think of a storyboard revisionist as like a junior storyboard artist. They are there to assist the director and make any changes to any boards that have notes to them once they've been finished. And part of the reason why that happens is because the storyboard artist who storyboarded the episode that needs revisions is already off now on their next script, on their next project, on the next episode. So it's up to the revisionist to make any of the changes that need to be made to this animatic, and then once those are done, it gets sent off to the executives for notes, and then it's this process a couple of times until you reach the final animatic. So let's watch the final animatic of the cold open. So this is what would be sent, what was sent over to the overseas animation studios to animate.
Okay, time to count all the spare tires. 1, 2, 3.
What's up, Doc?
Oh my, that's loud. Better start over. 1, 2, 3.
Look out!
No! Where was I? 1, 2, 3. How's the new horn sound? You're right, louder would be better. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3. Porky, why is the sky blue?
Sweetie, if you could just give me one. What? Still not loud enough?
I think I need some Porky privacy. Now I can focus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 spare tires. Oh. Looney Builders, this is Porky. We'd be more than happy to. We've got a job to do, and it's gonna be interstellar.
Yay! So technically, before that gets sent off to the animation studio, first it gets sent over to the design team. And so the animatic is delivered to the design team. It's their job to go through the animatic and create anything that needs to be created for the episode. So any backgrounds, any props, any characters, they design special poses, which is what these are. They make any asset that the animators will need to actually animate the show. And then everything gets shipped off to the animation studio. And the animation studio, they work their magic. And then voila, they also get plenty of rounds of notes from executives and have to implement and make changes to the notes. And then magically it comes back a finished animated product. So let's watch the finished animated product.
Okay, time to count all the spare tires. 1, 2, 3.
What's up, Doc?
You better start over. 1, 2, 3. Where was I? 1, 2, 3.
How's the new horn sound? You're right. Louder would be better.
Let's try this again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Porky? Why is the sky blue?
Tweety, if you could just give me what?
What? Still not loud enough?
I think I need some keep that Porky privacy. And now I can focus. If the 1, if the 2, 3, 4, if the 5, 6, if the 7. Easily in the 7 spare tires. Oh. And Looney Builders, this is Porky. We'd be more than happy to. We've got a job to do, and it's gonna be interstellar.
That's pulled open, and then eventually it gets released out into the world, and you hope people watch it, and you hope you get 700 seasons so that you have job security. It doesn't always happen that way, and that's okay. Oh no, don't play again. Here we go. So as you can see through that process, it takes a large number of people to create finished animation production. Depending on the type of animation or the size of the project, there are tons of jobs in animation. There are writers, directors, producers, showrunners, production coordinators, production assistants, storyboard artists, storyboard revisionists, visual development artists, character designers, prop designers, background artists, color designers. There are editors, animators, special effects designers, special effects animators, compositors, modelers, lighting designers, concept artists, composers, sound designers, 2D artists, 3D artists, all of this for TV, all of this for film, all of this for games, and a lot more. There's so many different jobs in animation. How did I decide to become a storyboard artist? Great question. Let's go back to CalArts. So one of the core pieces of the curriculum at CalArts is that each student is required to make a short film every year. So, you go through all of those production steps that we just walked through, except for you're doing them all by yourself. It's a great way to learn what aspects of production you would enjoy the most. I love making short films. I do love animating, but it is so hard to animate. Animating is not for the weak. It is intense. It is so hard because it's like, I became an artist thinking that I could escape science, but no, then all of a sudden you're an animator and you're trying to animate something and you have to think about, oh, what is the physics of how this thing moves? And then draw it. No problem. That sounds easy. It's not. It's very hard. But it's fun and it's very rewarding. So yeah, making a short film, it gives you the opportunity to be a writer, a storyboard artist, the director, the animator, the editor. This is some of the work that I did leading up to my first film production of The Tree. This is some of the visual development work that I did for that film. I started at CalArts in 2018. I'm from Coffee Park. We lost our home in 2017. And my dad passed away the year before in 2016. So I decided that I wanted to spend my first year making a film to explore and process some of my feelings of grief around those subjects in art. So I'm grateful for that, for doing that. Here are some of the storyboards that I did for the film. And yeah, so films are due just before the end of the spring semester, of the summer. Yeah, right before the summer, they're due. So typically, you spend the fall semester developing your idea, and then you spend all of the spring semester animating, in addition to all of the classes that you're taking. So everyone is always working up to the deadline, staying late in the labs to animate. It's very, very intense, but very rewarding. So this is me, actually. Surprise, there I am. Right when I submitted my film, after, I don't even know how little sleep I had over the weeks. But yeah, there I am, just having submitted my first animated film. So we're gonna watch it. Yeah, so I think I spent like 3 weeks animating Fire. I had friends coming up to me being like, "You have to stop animating the Fire. You're going to miss the deadline. You have to just let it go." It was an interesting process trying to figure out how to animate Fire, but very cathartic. I don't know. It was very cathartic. I've talked a lot tonight about some of the more technical aspects of working in animation, but like all art forms, animating a personal film gave me an opportunity to express myself as an artist, which is the point. So go, make some films. Why not? Go tell some stories. You don't have to go to a fancy college to do animation. There's a lot of really great animation programs at state schools. I know and have worked with people who are self-taught. There's a lot of information online. But yeah, so go, make some films. The end.
Okay guys, question time. Time for Q&A.
Yes. Do I just call on people? How does it work?
Yep, yeah, or just points, yes.
So yours is just like, your part is basically this one fixed piece, kind of in the middle. How do you feel about like seeing like the end result? Like,
It's my favorite part, actually, because I think it's easy as an artist to kind of drag on yourself a little bit and be filled with self-doubt. And it's always so exciting to see what other artists then do with your storyboards. Like all of the designers are so talented, and all the animators are so talented, and it's my favorite part is seeing the finished product.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question for you. The comment is, I'm kind of a retired ecologist studying disturbance and fire in forests and so forth. And I think you're selling yourself a little bit short when it comes to understanding or grasping, say, the physics of possibly various things. Because your animation there of the spread of fire locally and across is actually very excellent when it comes to a realistic way that fire spreads. The question I have for you is, you have a whole sequence of temporary jobs.
Yes.
Do you have to find a follow-up job yourself, or do you have an agent that helps you scan the job board?
That is a great question. Something that I didn't mention in this talk is that studios like Warner Brothers, Disney, the bigger studios are all a part of what's called the AMPTP, and so I'm actually a part of the Animation Guild, the Animation Union, so I am a union member. The union does not help us find jobs. However, they do provide, other, I have a 401k and health insurance through the union, but they don't help us find the next follow-up job. There are artists who have agents who they do serve that role. I do not have an agent, though, so it's just me. Thank you. Yes.
How does it differ from a regular movies that have storyboard?
Sure. Yeah, because storyboarding is 100% a part of feature films as well. Some of the main differences between storyboarding for feature are usually feature has a much longer time frame. So with, for example, Bugs Bunny Builders, I had 7 weeks total with the script. 4 weeks for roughs, 3 weeks for cleans, and then it's off. Whereas a board artist in feature might have an assignment for a few months, or 2 or 3 or 4 months or 6 months, or they might only work on one small section of a film for a year. The requirements for drawing what's called like on model, for needing the character to look exactly how it looks in the design, in feature is also not as strict. So I would love to work in feature at some point. I just have to land the job, I guess.
So people can go back and forth.
Yes, people do go back and forth. It's tricky. It definitely happens. There are a lot of people who go back and forth, but there's also a lot of people who become, just experts at their specific thing. I know some board artists who all they do is board action in television, so they are like action specialists, and other people who are comedy specialists, and so it's really up to the artists, I suppose, and what their interests are, and how that all shakes out for them.
Yes, I have two. Semi-related. First, so I have a nephew who's down in Berkeley at Oakland School of the Arts, but he's very interested in animating, doing animation when he gets of age. But he's not super confident that it is a viable career option, and he's not quite sure what he could be doing if now to really help him prepare to, say, apply for schools or just gain that confidence. Do you have anything that I could relay back to him that maybe you wish you would have been told when you were in high school?
Yeah, that's a great question. I say just do it. I wish I could say, to your point about is it a viable career? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff happening right now with AI, and what's going to happen with AI? Is it going to replace all of the artists' jobs? I hope not. I have to imagine that there are a lot of people who run corporations who would like that and who are working towards that. It's tricky because AI is not in generative AI is not in a place right now where it can do my job. It's not in a place right now where it can do an animator's job. It can fake it pretty well, it can fake it pretty well, but it's not there yet to where it can put together cohesive stories. And my biggest belief and certainly hope is that even if AI takes over and takes all the animation jobs, that there's still going to be an audience of people who want to see films that were made by people that were, expressions of their life and ideas, that, not to dog on the computers too much, because obviously, computers have certainly changed the animation landscape a ton. Storyboarding used to be done on paper. It's now done completely digitally, so it's, I hesitate to poo-poo on all new technology too much. I think it's just, I get sad at the thought that people might use it to try to take away people's jobs. But as far as building up his confidence and, he should just draw. And just do it and do his best to not compare yourself to other people too much. That's some really incredible advice the first year at CalArts from our design teacher. And the way that he described it is that, when you're looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing, and you're like, wow, they're so, he's so talented with that, she's so talented with that, oh my gosh. You end up building this super student, super artist in your head of wow, well, I'm not as good as that mythical creature that I've created in my mind, when in reality that person doesn't exist. You know? And I think that everybody has something to bring to the table. So, you know, everybody has a unique voice and a unique perspective to bring, unique stories. So, I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, super. I'll relate some stuff back. I can ask you.
I'll go back. Yes.
What can you do in between the periods that you have no job?
Stress out, a lot of stress, panic. I've been fortunate so far, at least, that I haven't had too much time in between employment. Fortunately, you know, I think I had a month before I had this last job, and that's, I would love to take a month off a couple times a year. That would be great, but it's stressful when you don't know when the next job is coming in. So I'd love to get to a point maybe off the lottery and I can just coast and relax. But yeah, you just de-stress and try to work on your portfolio, keep drawings. You know, it's all of the shows that we all like love watching, somebody created those. So a lot of people have used that time to work on personal projects, develop personal ideas with the hope of bringing those to a studio, getting a show made. So it doesn't have to all be doom and gloom the way that I made it out to be at first.
Your movie was fantastic.
Thank you.
How was it judged at the university?
Sure. So the way that it works at CalArts is everybody submits their films, and then we have a big day. It's 2 days because there's a lot of films, because it's the character animation program and the experimental animation program. And it's basically just 16 hours of film screening. So everybody's film gets seen. It's so exciting and also terrifying because you're like, wow, I'm showing this thing that I worked so hard on to all of my peers. How scary! And then it's over, and then it's fine. And there's something called the CalArts Producers Show, where while all that big screening is happening up in the main room, and it's a big party for everybody that's there, down in some secret dark room are all of the animation professors, and they're judging everybody's films. And they get selected for what's called the Producers Show, which is a big event in Hollywood, and all of these people come. But in order to be in consideration for the Producers Show, you have to have made a film that fits all of the criteria for your class level. So for first year students, which that was my first year film, the cap was 90 seconds. And I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do longer, because I wanna make the film I wanna make. And that's allowed, you're allowed to do that, although they try to encourage you not to do that. But I was like, this one's fine, I'm doing it. So mine wasn't ever in consideration for the Producer Show. But then there are thousands of film festivals all over the world. There's this website called Film Freeway where you can upload your film, enter your film into film festivals all over the world. Some of them are free, some of them aren't. And so we're really encouraged to just, sling your film out there and see what happens. And yeah, my film was selected for 12 film festivals. It played at a film festival in Greece. I wish I could have gone to that. I didn't. So.
So have you ever started to make a real film or another film?
Yes, I actually sure have, and am in production on another short film that has been in production for a couple of years because I haven't touched it in a couple of years. But it's designed, I have the animatic, I have everything ready, it just needs to be animated. And maybe I'll be brave enough to start animating it on the next time I'm in between jobs.
I just have one question, I know we're right at time. I saw one of your first slides said something about making movement with purpose.
Oh, yes.
And then you mentioned the fire. Do you use video? Do you use photography? Especially with people. You get people dancing and have a film of that and be able to study that.
Yeah, using reference is very important as an animator. Yes, because, yeah, if you think, you know how a dog looks, and then you try to draw a dog without looking at a dog, and it looks very strange. So yes, reference I looked at a lot of fire on YouTube, slowed it down, literally going through it frame by frame, see how it goes, looking at books like animation reference books to see like what are other effects animators saying about this. A lot of studying, and even like Disney, used video reference. Snow White was rotoscoped. They filmed a woman dancing and doing all the stuff, and then the animators used that as animation reference. So it's a big part of
when you get a script, have you ever started the storyboard and gotten completely, did not get the concept of the script, and they're like, that's not what the script is trying to do?
that hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm sure it will at some point. Because it's bound to happen. But fortunately, I'm not working alone really, even though I'm doing all of those drawings alone. I have a director, I have a showrunner, I have people that I'm talking to and showing progress to make sure that I'm on the right track, so that yes, I don't get too far down the wrong path. That would be sad.
Samantha, welcome back to Pine. And thank you very much. As I mentioned, she flew here from Los Angeles to be here tonight. Okay, her mom lives in Santa Rosa. That's besides the point. Okay, Samantha will be available for individual chit chat if you guys would like. Culinary made some oatmeal and oatmeal raisin cookies, and some water and coffee. Just out this door and into the other door. I put it inside because of the rain. Please make sure I get my clipboard back. Please make sure I get my clipboard back. Thank you. Drive carefully.
Did we get a good race? Thank you. You ready to go home? Huh? No, not yet. Okay, watch out. Yeah, we are going to put that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, right? She really wanted to go just through that door.
Okay.
So
let's go through this door.
No, we'll stay. Okay. We'll stay by before, yeah? That was so fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to be here. So. Oh yeah, it was very interesting. Yes. Yes.
Oh, no, I asked that.
Yeah. So she said that where are you going? No, I'm with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get a picture of you next year. Go back to your first. Oh, sure.
What is,
I'll be right there. Hi. It's nice to meet you, Amber. Oh, hi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's, you know, I know a lot of artists working in animation who also do voice.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? You know? So it's also you know, the interesting thing about comics is that they're very similar. Essentially, it's sort of
Oh, you're gonna get there.
As long as you don't switch storyboarding in the middle of my I had seen it previously, but I didn't know the connection to the fire. I had a feeling that was her dad or something. But then the fire is yeah. No. All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much for that.
That's exactly what it was. It's just sweet warm out. So good. Yeah, it's delicious. I know.
Nice. Well, good luck with that.
You're welcome.
That's so
I'm sorry, this was blind. This is the TK biology. It says for next year.
And it was like weird to get used to, but because that's pregnant.
She did really well. She was nailed it. I came back to this. I saw that. That's all from mine. It is.
Oh, Cece, do not. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you're eating.
No.
Yeah. No, you're that's it is your bedtime. Yeah.
Where are you?
Oh, did you get a cookie?
Yeah, she's in there.
Anytime there's any language, somebody will like. It's not easy graphic language.
She's okay.
I got her. I don't even know if this was mine.
You're holding your actual. And then bring it into Africa. It's very hard. I don't even know half of it. I'm scared. Anytime I'm writing something, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Of course, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, I love animation. Storyboarding. Wow.
Wow.
Make letters. Wow. Yay. School. Work. Make films. They have the red part. Adult thing. Make films.
Okay, look at us.
My aunt to hug. Hi, Auntie.
I was repeating in my head and trying out with you.
No, honestly, because I wasn't looking at anybody. I was looking up here. I wasn't looking at anyone.
I didn't miss a minute of it.
Oh, you can't go get it. She's scared to ask it. Yeah. Got it. Oh, doesn't matter. With the spotlight on, so this is really neat.
Thank you.
My phone as well. Thank you so much. Oh, here you go.
You like stars and planets? Full dome movies?
Where'd you go? Oh, what? 11? Did you show Dad the big camera?
Yeah.
You're almost there. Yeah, I feel that.
I'm hoping that I can get a copy of that.
The drawing?
I'm sure she got it.
Filming them.
That's such a.
Yeah,
What else is,
filming them.
what other, I mean, no.
So the question, did you do all the drawings in your slides?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
The handwriting,
But yeah, the handwriting was mine.
I know.
It was me.
I just decided I don't need to sleep in my house.
I wanted to draw.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Okay, let me go ahead. I wanted to draw like every slide.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna come over and say hi after the show? Or are you?
Yes, on Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Come on, my
Are you
No,
maybe, yeah, text me, let me know. And then Rachel Hagan, my Rachel, she'll be there at the show too. I was doing it, maybe I'll just do so.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure we can bring in another.
Okay. I'll just bring my own.
Yeah, you too. Is everybody nice to meet? Okay. I will. Oh, yes.
Bye, babe. See you on Friday. Bye, Susie.
Talk to her all the time. I will tell her it's
You
hi.
see, you open it.
I don't know how long she's staying or she's gonna be in town, but.
It's fragile.
Yeah. Okay.
No, just tell her I said hi.
I will. You got it, Greg.
Could be.
Bye, guys. Bye, Miss Allison. Okay. Are you ready?
Yearbooks. Old yearbooks.
Big
All of our yearbooks.
I don't think I have my earbuds anymore. I'm pretty sure I'm almost just like indiscreetly
I still
throwing
have
things
mine.
away.
And I always go,
I still have
why?
mine. I pulled it out.
Oh my
I'm pretty sure it's just at the genealogy
Those all
library.
four?
Found
Oh,
That's what you're after.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You got any for what's in there?
Oh, nice.
Dude, I knew that. You go with my genealogy library. When you did that, I was like, okay, I'm right. Have one in there where you can just like peruse. That's so cool.
Oh, how special is that?
That's awesome.
Yearbooks. Got all the yearbooks back. That's so sweet.
It was fun seeing your little freshman picture. I did not know that, Samantha.
I don't
So
even know
cute.
what that Samantha looks like anymore.
Is that one that's hair? I feel like you have long
Yeah.
hair at that time.
Brown hair.
Yeah, right? It's back in
Oh, and they got some ceramic dust for you too.
That's great.
Yeah, that's
It's over
great.
there. It's just in the room back here. I didn't even make it to the room. I didn't even make it to the room. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
And that
goodness.
little necklace
Oh,
that I was
God.
always
Yeah.
wearing. And I think, yeah, that's the shirt that had the safety pins that covered up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
The safety pins.
You always had that in, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Too funny.
I'm gonna get it.
No.
Yeah, we're going to dinner.
You know,
Oh, thanks.
I'll get
we
you
are
dinner.
going to dinner, but it's at my house.
Oh, thanks.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Because my wife was like, I just made this thing and it's so good.
Yeah.
We just have to-
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
And then have shirt on.
Bye.
But if you're really putting someone to the art on, I only do crochet and embroidery. Oh, yes, I'll see you Friday. Nice to see you.
Okay, where?
Did you get these? I'm gonna get.
Yeah, no, you're really good. Of course, I'm gonna tell Ari everything.
I think, yes. Oh, I gotta get all my.
Bye, good job.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the bill.
Your mom said you know how to do drywall? You did some painting, yeah, so I think you understand.
Oh, yeah, I did drywall texture.
Have a good night, nice to see you. Let me
Nice
know
to
for
meet
the
you.
GIS
I
stuff.
texted
Yeah, my drywall.
you and Andrew
Yeah.
and we'll do something. That was good.
Yeah, all right. Have a good night. Bye.
Okay, I thought it was some kind of paint that you did. I mean, I just painted them regular, but
Okay.
I did drywall texture.
Okay, well, the texture that's
So
in mine right now is,
they don't charge until after,
Almost
so
perfect.
they didn't charge us.
It's flawed, but almost perfect.
I don't even know what, it's like a semi-perfect
Sure.
ball now. Okay, it's really cool, I just.
Okay, I want to see it. Yes, because I did a lot of texture.
You gotta come
so
see
I
it.
gotta come
They're
see
here
it.
today.
Oh, okay.
Experience something they've never experienced before.
How
So,
alright.
cost $4,500.
Oh, it's like
So,
outside.
I'm
In
hearing
that
good news.
You wanna go?
I gotta pack up my stuff.
They've already.
Okay.
But yeah, I do. But I gotta pack up my stuff. And I gotta figure out where we're going.
Yeah, you guys going somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she wants to see the drywall texture that they're doing at the place. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
It's a semi-perfect, it's called, I think. Or perfectly flawed.
Oh, no. That's not okay.
They made it cancel the trip.
Free
We're going to the MoMA.
A mystery number that you don't know?
Yeah, Mr. Number. I think they got the number.
What kind of a doggy are you?
Oh, yeah.
It's a golden doodle.
Yeah, it's a Labrador.
Oh, Labrador.
That's crazy.
Mine's a golden.
So I was going on a field trip Friday. And I started
Field
getting
trip?
at 8 o'clock in the morning, so 45 minutes.
Good.
We left.
How was it? You did it? Oh, okay.
It was great.
That's good. Okay.
It's really
Thank you so much for having me. This,
She's
this
like
was wonderful.
a friend.
I blacked out and then it was over. I looked at the time and I was like, oh, I did it.
Oh my gosh.
So we didn't get to go on our trip, but not only that, there was another trip.
Yeah, I know.
Going
I
to
was
San
like,
Francisco that
I
day.
just wish I
They
had
had 2
2
buses.
extra days.
Charter
Would have
buses.
done more
And their trip
drawings.
cost over $5,000.
The next one is gonna
And
be
they-
perfect. Yeah, because now,
They were all
now like
going to
all of the
San
ground
Francisco
calls
State
done
University.
for that police.
They called
Oh,
police.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm unstoppable now.
And then you can charge for it.
Yeah.
So
Make
was
some money.
It was a charter bus for this school?
For
that was
the,
going
they,
on?
No, that
the other field trip was the early college magnet proposal. They're going to San Francisco State University to tour the university. And their bus and trip was expensive. Mine was,
That's really sad for the students. And
yeah, it was sad for the students. These kids didn't have